make a living out of making music. And in order to do that, I gotta, reframe everything, because this is, the day job and the stability, that's what we all got grained in from grandma on down, right? So to change that, especially now, and I'm 37, I'm not like a young kid doing that. So to change that to at this point in my life is, I think, is really ambitious. But how lucrative sync can be, how about the music and not the clout that we see that it is, and how focused I feel like I am right now, I feel like I can make that happen. So, short version of a long story: plan to leave the day job, plan to spend more time actively recording to grow my catalog. I plan to develop new relationships with supervisors, sync agents, and other artists, so that I can help not only push my music forward, but maybe rep some other artists that I work with, or people that are upcoming, and kind of transition the same thing I do for the day job, the mentor and teaching, but move it towards music, and that's really what I plan on.
I love that, Psychosis. That's a great vision. I'm really excited, and this we've talked about this before. I think what you've been accomplishing while juggling full-time job and your involvement in the community and all the stuff that you've been doing and family and being dad and like all the stuff you got going on, like it's just really exciting to see you strategizing into a place where you know you'll have the time to pursue it even harder. So I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man. I want to say this for everybody listening. Like, it's scary as hell. Like, it's not. Let me just be real here. I don't want nobody that's listening to be like, "Oh yeah, dope," just jump out the window. No, it's not a jump out the window. Like, because I'm not that kind of guy. Like, that's one thing about music in my life in general. Like, I had to get myself in a mind state to take more risk, right? And to shoot more shots, and to believe and count on myself and bet on myself more. And that's what this is. So, I've been spending money on a bigger budget level to make a bigger album, and I usually don't do that. And I've been going to the studio, despite, being tired or whatever life is like. I'm about to grind. But a part of that also is I also need to rest, because the juggling everything will destroy you. Like, the juggling and trying to be a million people at once is just not feasible or realistic. So it's scary as hell, because right now I know exactly what that paycheck gonna be every 2 weeks. But I'm also very confident. Also got more than music. I also do real estate. So I'm leveling up my business strategy there to hold me over in between as I make moves in music, which will give me free time to work from home. But I do want to say it's scary as hell. I know a lot of people in this room right now are like, if you're not thinking about it, you have thought about it. Like, how do I do that? Can I do that? I just want to play guitar, make beats, rap, sing, whatever it is. Um, I'm about to be an experiment, and I'm gonna let y'all know how it goes. So we'll see. But I'm excited as well.
You're gonna crush it, man. You're gonna crush it. You're ready.
Appreciate that, Tommy. Take me to LA with you though.
Got you a ticket, man. Always, you know that.
No, it's so dope. Actually, this, I mean, a little detour, but I think it's cool, Psychosis, because I feel like as an independent artist, I mean, you're one of the people that have been in control camps since. If you didn't come in November, you were shortly thereafter. I feel like you were here from the very jump, and uh, I feel like it's kind of a thing where you saw like the opportunity, like I don't know if in this discussion or other things in your life, you saw the opportunity in sync. And even though you were involved with some syncs, what you saw with the opportunity, it seems like it fired your engines up even more to pursue because like I said, you were going into studio before, but maybe you had a slower pace and you'd worked on things but it, it am I wrong? I feel like seeing this even as an indie artist, it was the sync opportunities that made you say, okay, now I see how to connect the dots. Let me crank this up.
Yeah, no, it's So what it is, and I talk about this often, and I don't want to make this sound biased, but the indie hip hop artist experience, I think, is much different than a lot of people, and I don't think a lot of people know that if you're not involved in it. So like, for example, there's no such thing as a hip hop cover indie artist. There's hip hop cover bands, but they're bands. So I can't go anywhere and perform like Ice-T if I wanted to, right? So as an indie hip hop artist, your whole indie path to get music out, to perform, to do shows, and to get in venues and on radio, it's just a much more narrow, way. But the thing with Sync is Sync kind of like made the basket bigger in terms of shooting that shot, because Sync, in some ways, Sync is very formulaic, right? Sync is kind of predictable. You can kind of literally create a sound. But then for me, the challenge is, all right, I see what certain corporations or networks or TVs are interested in. Let me let me push the envelope. Let me try my hand. And what it does is it created a situation of confidence, because it's you get the result you're looking for in the music. Sometimes you might get a song that's popular. This happens, I'm sure, to a lot of artists. Your most popular song may not even be your favorite song. Like, you might have a song you're like, man, I put my heart into that, into these lyrics, into these chords, into this whatever, and people just completely ignore that and they go and favor something else. Sync is one of those things where you kind of like make the music, you make the art be the center of the focus and nothing else. And then for me, I was able to kind of see, not just for myself, but as I mentioned, for my partners, for my co-collaborators, for producers that I work with, here's a path forward for all of us of self-sustainability and making our own brand, making our own impact. Where if we really get this where we want to go, and people, trust in us, they'll come to us for music, and that's what we've always wanted. That's what else could you ask for? To me, it's better than getting a record deal in so many ways, because you keep ownership, you keep control, and then everything's negotiable. Where you're not signing your life away, you're just making new music and you licensing it to the people who need it. So I just saw a lot of opportunity in freedom and creativity, to just make music as I've always wanted to be something that I just focus on the most, instead of, hey, I feel like I'm extremely talented, but music's gonna be the 10th thing I do because I'm an adult in America and I got a million bills. So that's just a switch.
I love that. I love that as a strategy, and the thought process behind it. Um, this is a good stopping point. Oh, sorry, Tommy, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I could talk about our 22, but Tim may want to talk about his 22 as well. So we definitely have a different plan for first note. But I know Tim was about to go, so I'm going to make sure he goes first.
Thanks, man. Eric, are you cool going, or do you want to
Oh,
pause?
oh no. Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead, Tim. Then I'm gonna pause after we get these comments in.
Cool.
Actually, what I'm just so you just so what I'm going to be asking. So this would be cool to hear from you and Tommy as well, and people in the audience can think about this. I'm loving to hear from anyone who, even before we go fully into what 2022 is coming, I want to hear people's assessment for how 2021 went, and both, and from an accountability perspective of, this is what I set out to do and things didn't go as planned, or this is where it is, or we've been building great. I would love to hear people's assessment of 2021. And while you're talking, if anyone, you can back channel me if you want to do it that way, or you can raise your hand and come up on stage and share. All right, go ahead, Tim.
Cool. Thanks. So for me, for 2021, coming out of last year, I think we were talking last week, or maybe it was the week before, just about, I'm an introvert and work really well in this remote environment that we're in. Some of us are still in. And but one of the things I realized I really missed was a sense of community. And so when Clubhouse came out, that was one of the things I saw as an opportunity, was just to meet cool people. I mean, we've all done it with Twitter and Insta and all the others, but new format, like new opportunity. This group, just kind of coming out of nowhere, was certainly something that I gravitated towards, just and want to. I think every week I thank you for creating it, because it's just such good information. But I haven't really been in the room until the last month or so as frequently as I want to be. And while I've made some connections and some new friendships this year, that's something that I want to just double down on as 2022 comes around. And then in 2021, the other thing I wanted to hold myself to was taking more swings of the bat, in really all of my in anything creative, really. And so a couple cool things that I was able to do this year. I had my first. I'm a photographer, also, just doing like fine art, like landscape stuff. And I had my first gallery show that um, was organized in Nashville, and just it, you know, terrifies me sometimes to put myself out there like that. And by making myself do it, it's never bad. It's like submitting songs for the brief that you've got. It's like I'm terrified to hit send, and then when you do, it's like, oh, that's not so bad, and you always get good feedback. And so that was the thing for me, was just taking more swings. So did the gallery thing. I started putting some music out on Spotify under the name Et Thing, just as a way to have an outlet. And then for 2022, in a lot of ways, I feel like it's sync is something that it's been on my radar for a long time. I've had a placement a long, long time ago, and I feel like I'm kind of starting over. So it's like, how do I get more briefs? How do I get more chances to pitch? How do I make better relationships and even collaborate with more people? So that's kind of what's on the roadmap for me for next year, is just these little incremental things that I keep building as we go.
Love that. What about you, Tommy? I know 2021 has been big for you. Let's hear about that in 2022.
Yeah, I mean, what a great question, because 2021 we had, we do elaborate planning, and we're in 2022 right now. So I always try to steal a month or two in the music business, because we know that the December, really November, December, mid-November, December is dead in music. And I just really try to get a head start on it literally right after October 31st, and really push this as my 2022. So we're in 2022, and that's why we're trying to get to there. But 2021, we were planning on getting back on the road. I was going to get my public speaking going back. The Rising Star Road Show was set to move. We were going to concentrate much more on, the handful of artists that I was representing that was actually on the label, putting them into a bigger brand. And then everything changed. And in certain ways, Eric, and you're part of that experience as well with us, everything, just because we kept hustling, kept working, kept adjusting, we never planned on being part of the Durango in a formalized way. They couldn't do the Durango live because of COVID. We figured out how to bring it virtual. Now it looks like we're going to do a contract with them to where after this next Durango, we're going to be very involved in this one, as far as curating and running it. But after this one, I think we're actually going to be the presenters of the Durango Film Festival from now on, and actually building the infrastructure and the brand and the imaging and rebranding. Never thought that would be one of those options that would be available to us. Never thought we would be representing so many people. And because of Clubhouse, because of us opening up our avenues in the viral worlds, in the social media worlds, we now are representing something like 30 artists in multiple countries. Never was that on our radar. Never was that on our plan. And so 2021 was good for us and bad for us at the same time, because it's still super hard to make money, because we make so much money on the road with the Rising Star Road Show and me speaking. But it made us grow. It made us adapt. It made us develop deeper relationships, like with you. Our relationship developed deeper because of the pandemic. Clubhouse opened up a different avenue that we would have ever, never, ever, ever done whatsoever. And then 2022, we've got a 60-week launch plan for Ellie. This is the breakout year for Ellie. I mean, we've got it down to 4 people working 2 hours a day every day, starting when we release her song here in a few weeks for Christmas. And then it's off and running. We're going to rebrand First Note and get it away from being so much Tommy Jackson and much more First Note. There have been some cross branding that, because of Clubhouse, people see Tommy Jackson and First Note. I want them to see First Note, period. We want to deepen the relationships with the filmmakers, not just the supervisors. Supervisors are super important for us, but we want to be part of creation. And we're meeting with 3 different filmmakers in LA to actually be part of the creation and the score. So couldn't be more excited. But at the same token, if I looked at what we had written down in 2021 and accomplished, I think it would be like me. I would be back at the ice cream with you, seeing how much weight we could gain. But we're going to do it together. And you and Eric, one of my goals this year is we're going to do more work together. And I look forward to that. And Psycho's the same thing. And Tim, don't know you well. I hope that happens. But Psycho, I think you're a super young talent. And I told you that. And Eric's freaking just killing it right now. So we got to stay together as a team. We got to rise the boat together. It's that simple. So my mic's closed.
Totally agree. I'm looking so forward to that. Um, this is so awesome to hear, and I can vouch for everything Tommy said because I was at the Durango that happened virtually. It almost never happened because the Jim, the guy who runs it, wasn't sure how the technology would work, and it was cool to watch somebody pivot and say, oh, somebody needs help. This was not my plan or agenda for this year, but somebody needs help. Let me stop and figure out how I can help this person. And by helping Jim figure out the technology for Durango, stepping up and running the whole technology, the whole back end, and creating actually a virtual conference architecture. It was great. It was my first Durango. It was my first time pitching. I would not have had, like, I got placements out of that conference that would not have happened if you guys wouldn't have figured out that problem. I had never done an in-person Durango. I had never done in-person pitching. And so, like, just that, pivoting and doing all that, and then, you know, being helpful. It's we talk about it in here, just how, and I'm pausing on it because it's so telling. Like, I think it's important to plan, but at the same time, we have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. So all of our plans have to be flexible, and who knows what opportunity is going to come down the corner, and where you can say, oh, I might need to go left, and though I was planning to go right, and then turns out to be better. And so, um, I I I like doing this type of. I'm a planner, so I do like planning, but at the same time, I'm always ready to pivot. I'm a Gemini, so sometimes I do that too much. Like, I can just switch on a dime and be like, oh, I'm gonna go 100 miles in a totally different direction this month. But I do think being flexible and being able to pivot makes you very, very useful. And so it was really cool to watch that happen, Tommy, and kind of see what's all burst this year for First Note Entertainment and Durango. It was really awesome to hear that you guys will be, taking over that and really um, keeping the architecture going. If I can put in my vote, I would love to see Durangos that are both in person and virtual going forward every time. I hope that can really happen because that would be special.
I agree. We want to bring it into 2022, and we've had conversations with Jim, and he sees the vision. Obviously, he's run that for 25 years and such a legend. But we want to bring it into 2022, and there were some situations that we just felt like that we've got to get. Quite frankly, we have to make it more diverse. That's one of the super goals. We have to make it understand the diversity. That's also a goal. We have to make sure that the onboarding and the experience and the offboarding is something that's smoother and clearer, and the user can get more value, even though it's such a beautiful conference and such a beautiful experience. But it's a little annotated, so we're going to try to bring it to the current market, and we'll beat your brains on some ideas as well, because you and I've had those planning sessions before, and psychosis the same thing. And again, Tim, don't want to leave you out. I definitely want to get to know you as well. But I think that we're building this thing together. I think there's a new wave coming in the sync business, because so many people have suddenly got into sync. Price points are going down. Competition's getting tough. People are negotiating catalogs differently. And so we've got to be very, very wise in our next moves together so we can hold the line and create the value that we need as creators as well as they need as, the people that are using the product on the other side. So many great things. But like you said, we're willing to change everything that we just have written down over the last week and a half. We're willing to change it next week if all of a sudden somebody says we need you here. And so stay flexible and have fun.
I love that. I love that. I got a couple of cool comments in the back channels. Again, I'd love to hear from anyone. If you want to share how 2021 has gone for you, what plans you started out with, and then how it ended up, what you're still working on. It doesn't have to all be positive, just I think objective. Jen Urban, whose Clubhouse handle is Rose Gold, uh, commented in the back channel, said that her goal in 2021 was learning to produce, which I think is awesome, and she's really proud of her progress there. And now her goal for 2022 is to land a major sync. Because as a band, she's had a couple of what she says are small ones. They're probably not small, but she wants to obviously land something bigger. And then I had another comment. I won't say your name when you if you back channel unless you tell me that it's okay to say your name. But I had another comment of someone who just said that their 2022 strategy is to get much more involved with Control Camp, and I totally welcome that because I have some pretty ambitious plans for our growth. El Dorado's on stage. What's going on, man?
Hey, good evening. How you guys doing this night?
Doing good, doing good. You
Man,
got how was 2021 for you?
so I think I came into the conversation at a great point when you first brought up bringing or re-evaluating and really having accountability for 2021. Me personally, a I have a practice that I've been doing for the last few years is setting up maybe 3 month goals, 2 month, 6 month goals, things of that nature, yearly goals. So just as you were saying that, I went into one of my sketchbooks and I have written down uh, December 27th, 2020, I wrote a top to-do list for 2021. So I actually have a visual aid where I can look and see what I wrote down nearly a year ago and what I thought was important for the upcoming year, which is this year now. And out of the 11 things that I wrote down, I did 3. So I wrote 11 things down last December, and I did 3 of them. And a couple of those were done in the last couple of months. So that's not a very high percentage rate for completion. But what I was able to do, some of them did involve sync as far as networking and meeting more music supervisors and actually building relationships with them as well as sync reps. That was on the agenda, as well as um, rediscovering and utilizing better digital vehicles to manage metadata distribution as well as song distribution. And disco psychosis can attribute to this. Disco was very much our go-to vehicle for that this year. Um, So a lot of goals that I wrote down, I won't go into all of them, did not get met. I wanted to buy a DTG printer this year, didn't happen. That's a direct to garment printer because I'm also a fashion designer. Did not happen. I wanted to finish my children's book this year, did not happen. Still working on it. My goal was December 1st. So fingers crossed, but that probably will not happen in the next 3 weeks, but still shooting for it. Um, Something that you said, Eric, in just the last couple minutes when you were talking about how important planning is, but sometimes you have to be able to pivot. I agree 200%. And I actually believe, and I wrote it in my notes, that preparation is greater than planning. And what I mean by that is, as you said, we can plan things, but life rarely goes according to plan. But if you're prepared to pivot, you'll be in a better position, or you'll be better equipped to handle surprises that come along the way, because they always come. Something that myself and Psychosis have joked about for years is we have to live by the audible. And sometimes in life, especially in this business and the industries that we're in, you live and die by the audible. If you're not able to adjust on the field, like a great offense or a great defense, you're going to lose instantly. So I'm definitely a fan of planning. I'm not the greatest planner. I try to get better every year with my planning, but I definitely always try to sharpen up my prep, like being prepared for that, um, that thing that may come down the pipeline. I did not plan to go to Durango. Did not plan for that. Ended up being prepared to go though, and had a great time and met some great individuals that I'm still building relationships with right now. So that was something that came across my docket later in the year and really worked out. Um,
I love
did
so
not
much of what you're saying. I really love the prepare to pivot phrase. Like I'm going to actually going to keep that. That's
Please do.
yeah. I like that a lot. I think I mean you sound similar. I think one I hope you're not, and it didn't sound like it, but I hope you're not beating yourself up because you got 3 of your 11 done. I think one, just the fact that you track them and you able a year later to go back and look at what you said, I think, because I feel like planning is a process and it can only get better at it. We only can improve what we measure. If we don't measure, we can't get better at it. So, I think that there are other people who every year may state what they want, but there's no accountability because that list may not be there, or it may not be someplace they can go back to and touch. And so just having that down that you're able to check is really, really cool. And from the type of things you listed off, you sound like you're a multi creative person, and being multi creative also sometimes makes you highly ambitious because we want to do all of the things. We want to exercise all of our creative channels as we have it. So if we have a book idea and we have a clothing idea and we have an idea for sync and we have a business idea, as those ideas come, we want to launch them. And so maybe the lesson is not how do I work harder to accomplish all these things. Maybe the lesson might be how do I space, and this is something that I wrestle with all the time. I have book ideas that I'm not acting on yet. I have scripts that I'm not acting on yet. I have lots of creative energies that I want to, and I want to exercise all of them before I pass in this life. And so, but maybe in our planning, our project planning might need to extend longer than a year. It might be, okay, which of my creative energies gets this focus for the next 3 to 6 months, and each one of these could be its own business. And so and it may take, people focus for years on a single business. And so as creatives, sometimes maybe the refocus or the looking at is it in 2022, do I need 11 things where 6 of them are creative projects that could be their own business by themselves? Maybe that's the thing to look
Yeah, I coined the term creative schizophrenia, where you're
at.
just like, I can do this, I can do that, and the question is, how do you prioritize, and how do you make the web make sense, right? Like how do you build a sustainable web, and how best do you tackle all of these things you want to do? And as you said, it's not even might, it will take longer than a year to see these things uh especially when you're constantly adding on, and you're constantly uh, building and acquiring new skills. Just in quarantine last year, I started playing the guitar, like just looking at things that I thought I've been wanting to do since I was a kid. Like, I'm not getting any younger. I should probably start doing this before I die. Like, knock out these new goals, but at the same time, as you said, prioritize. How do you line them up and make it make sense? This is a third quarter goal. This is a 2023 goal. This probably won't happen until 2026. And for me, I'm even trying to look at my calendars, and I do say it plural, calendars, more like a company, like a Disney or a Marvel would. What's phase 7 for 2028?
I
What
agree
can
with
be
that
put back?
so much. Yeah, I'm glad you said that with the Marvel and how they do their calendars. That's. I see Tommy trying to jump in. Let me let him because I know he has some
Yeah,
insight on this too.
yeah. I mean, I can speak on this. First of all, what's up, Eldorado? It's good to see you, man.
Good to talk to
Um,
you.
I can speak on that very clearly. Directional focus and discipline. Directional focus and discipline. And we can have all the dreams in the world and we can write down all the goals in the world. And I tell my team this all the time. I don't need ideas. I need discipline. And that discipline comes by prioritizing the ideas and then put them into a daily action plan. What you did yesterday is over. You can't change it, good, bad. You can learn from it. You can grow from it. It's pretty arrogant to think we're even going to have a tomorrow. You actually have the power to control your day. And that day should be broken down into that 12 months, to that quarter, to that month, to that week, to that day. And that daily action plan is going to let you be on compass taking the steps in the right direction. So you have to be disciplined enough to put in that daily action plan and say, so how do I do that? The night before I go to sleep, I write down the 10 things that I'm going to do tomorrow or I would die before they don't get done. And that way I'm proactively planning my day versus reactively planning my day. And if I have a desire to write a book in a year, then I know I need to write so many pages. Then I know I need to take at least an hour. Then I'm going to give that appointment to that day. And that's going to be my appointment, just like any other appointment. You would keep an appointment if all of a sudden you had a pitch meeting with CBS. You would keep that appointment. Keep the appointment with yourself. And joking around with Eric, somebody went to the store and bought the ice cream. I'm just saying. So if the ice cream ain't there, he can't eat it. It's just that simple. So you can have all the plans in the world if you don't have discipline and directional focus and you don't make it accountable on a daily basis. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, months turn into December 31st and another year where we start all over again. Get that whole plan down to a day and work your day. Get your head down and grind. Work your day, work your day, work your day. And when you look up 365 days from now, you won't have not accomplished 8 out of 11, or you won't have not accomplished, 3 out of 6. You're going to find the things that were important. You will have accomplished 100% right now, today. One word. Love you.
Very, very dope. Okay, let me stop real quick. Let me do a reset because it's 9 o'clock, and then we've got Dana on stage, so we'll get her comment as soon as right after the reset. And also, I got a couple comments in the back channel too. Um, if you're in the room, this is Control Camp. I'm so glad that you are here. We are having an awesome discussion. We are a community focused on sync licensing. So that's music for TV, film, ads. And we're here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And we share information. We share our stories. I do have a pretty extensive resume writing music for TV, film, and ads, as do the people who are on the stage. People come in and out of our room with lots of different experience. And so I'm trying to create a forum that where you're not hearing just one voice in terms of this is how to do it, but you're hearing lots of different voices because everybody's sync journey is totally unique. And so as you hear these different voices, you can help strategize your own journey. And so what we're doing right now, actually, we're talking strategy. We're talking strategy for 2022. And, in this first hour, we kind of talked about, before we could talk about 2022, we have to objectively talk about how 2021 went and be accountable, not to anybody else, but accountable to ourselves. So that if we set plans in place and it didn't happen, what can we do differently? Was it intentional? Is it okay because something more important came along? And at least knowing that or understanding that allows us to now step into setting our expectations for 2022 and creating a plan that we can then follow and stick to. So I'm so glad you're here. We're here for one more hour, and then we will shift into our after party. After party, we won't be talking about this music stuff. It's just a social gathering space for people in Control Camp to get to know one another. If so, the room will only show up if you're following Control Camp. So click on the icon above my picture that looks like a house and follow the camp, and then it'll show up. And it's a great chance for you to get to know all of us and for us to get to know you. And that's how real opportunities happen as we get to socially know one another. Very cool. Oh, I do want to just reiterate some of the things coming up. Saturday, we're doing our listening session for the epic cinematic music with Steve Davis of the famous group LA. So today's the last day that we're accepting submissions for that. If you go to the Control Camp IG page, which is at Control Camp, CTRL Camp, our brief is posted in the stories highlights, and as well as a Spotify playlist that shows the kind of music. We have about 40 submissions so far. We're going through those, and we're going to select some and play them on Saturday. I will not be announcing who's getting played. It's a free. There's no submission. We're not charging for this, so the cost for the opportunity is to be in the room. Be in the room on Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern. No, 1 p.m. Pacific, which is 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you're on our emailing list, you've gotten an email that with the link to the room on Saturday. Sunday, we're doing our film score convo with Matthew Head, talking everything about his process for scoring film, scoring TV. He's an award-winning composer working on Queens on ABC, P-Valley on Stars, lots of big shows, lots of big documentaries like Mahalia and the PBS documentary The Black Church, and all this cool stuff. And he's really open about his process, how he builds his relationships. That's Sundays and sometimes other composers walk in too, so we have a good dialogue. That's Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern, which is 10 a.m. Pacific. If you just click on Control Camp, you can hit the rooms and you can just hit the reminder so you don't have to remember all these times. And then next Wednesday, a real awesome conversation. We're going to talk about sonic branding with Steve Keller and Mike Barris. If you ever wanted to know how McDonald's got the da-da-da-da-da, or the other companies get their little 3 or 4 notes, and how they pay millions of dollars for a composer or group of composers to create these notes, we're going to talk about that process. It's actually really, really enlightening. So follow Control Camp. Come check out our upcoming rooms. So glad to see you all here. All right, so let's dive back in. We got Dana on stage. How are you doing, Dana?
Hi everyone. I'm good, thanks.
Hey Dana, did you get a new IG? Because I got a request, and I was like,
Yeah,
is this a bot or is this a real?
man. Let me tell you, it's like my account was hacked and they completely locked me out. Like all of this, years of building, and so like I'm starting from scratch.
So they couldn't
So
carry any of your pictures over anything. You have to start
I
all over from the
lost
beginning, and all your followers too.
everything, everything,
I'm
like
so
every
sorry to hear
saved
that.
thing, yeah, me too. And another thing is because I just like started following a lot of people from this room, and I or just people hearing me, and they follow me, I followed them, and I don't remember everyone. So if you are here, I am Dana Cadell. So hi. But that's not why I got on stage. But I just want to say thank you to everyone for all of those things, because I am a creative person. I have a lot of things going on. You try to like focus on this, focus on that. As you know, Eric, I have had some, sync experience, but my career was basically as an artist and songwriter. I have an amazing writing partner who unfortunately has become overextended in other situations. And so what I had hoped for this year and for this, this time to like really start launching more and just like going, head first into sync didn't really happen. So I'm a little discouraged, but I'm okay. But I just am trying to, I guess, put fillers out and let it be known that I am available for, anybody who wants to collab or whatever. I'm trying to make more relationships because I realize you can't just put all your eggs in one basket. And so that's kind of where I'm at, and just hoping for 2022 for things to come together better. I'm not saying that, my partnership, we've completely dissolved it or anything. He's just tied up with a lot of things. And, I can't just sit and stew.
I so
you know?
I appreciate that. And I appreciate you sharing that. And I think it's so relevant because um, at every level, so many of our plans involve other people. Tommy has a whole company. You know, I
Right.
have a production team that's working with me. Like one of my biggest goals for 2022 is in the cinematic hip hop space, and there's a whole team working on that. But if at any time I could lose those members, and you know, Tommy has key people that you could lose. So whether it's a collaborator or a writing partner or Psychosis has producers they send him beats. If they go ghost on him, like all of our goals are often tied up with someone else, and so
And other people.
in other
Exactly.
people exactly. So being able to knowing when to pivot, I don't think you can't always plan. You know, I mean, and
Right.
ideally you're building good relationships, and they have this. You have the same goals as that person, but at some point when you see that okay, this is not going the way I'm going, or our goals are not the same, um, you know, then if then that's that's part of what I'm stealing from El Dorado. The being being prepared to pivot is okay. When do I need to start looking for other? When do I have other people? In the backdrop. When do I add other potential people to the company? How many resumes do I keep on hand
Exactly.
just in case, or know what I'm at risk of doing? So I think that's I mean, it's unfortunate for 21, but it's still good planning for all of us. It's a good lesson for all of us because at every level we're growing our businesses, and all of our businesses are people businesses. So it's still a good lesson because we need to know how to navigate those types of things.
Absolutely. And, again, I'm just so happy to hear from everyone that, you of course things happen. I just, I felt like I was like out on this island all alone. I mean, I still kind of feel like that, but in, but I know that things will let up and I know that, other relationships will happen, but, it's sometimes best to be vocal and let people know that, hey, I am out here. So that's why I wanted to come on up
I love
also.
that. Dane is incredibly
Great,
talented,
thank
so
you.
yeah, I know you'll find some cool collaborators to work with, and it's one of the things actually, just for the whole room as what we're building within Control Camp. I mean, right now we're on Clubhouse, and so the interaction is very much like from the stage to the audience. But I'm actually in the process of building us a home on the web that should be launched before the end of the year, where it'll kind of be like a private Facebook group, but it won't be on Facebook. It'll be on controlcamp.com. But you will be able to put up briefs there. You'll be able to play music. You'll be able to find collaborators there. You'll be able to do our. We'll be able to not just have Clubhouse rooms, but we'll be able to do our Zoom and live stream and really engage with one another as a community. And so people who are finding us on Clubhouse, people who are finding us on TikTok, on IG, can all come to this one place and learn together. And my goal is for all that the education, the opportunities, the pitching, all that to be free so that we can all kind of really come together as a community and grow and build off of these opportunities. So I will keep you posted about that, but hopefully that will help um, on the collaboration side as we grow there.
Sounds awesome. And thank you again, Eric, for pulling me up.
Awesome. Oh, it's good to see you, Dana. And I'm glad to know that it's you now. I can go back and accept that request.
And
I
thank
wasn't.
you for the compliment.
Wait, what'd you just say? You was it was getting digitized on me.
Oh, my bad. I said no. Yeah, it's me. And it's actually it's me, Dana Goodell. Well, no, it's I am. So yeah, it's me.
Awesome,
Thank you so
awesome.
much.
My pleasure. In the back channel, I had Q, whose clubhouse handle is Monsieur Swank. Uh, Q said his one of his goals for the year was to land his first sync, and he actually did, which we remember we all congratulated him a couple weeks ago. Actually, his first sync was through a show that I'm supervising called The Family Business. We had about 11 placements on that show. Psychosis had a placement on the shows. Q had actually had 2 episodes his song was used in. So congratulations to you, and I'm really really glad to be a part of that goal being reached. All right, did Dana, did Eldorado, got Ryan on stage. What's going on, Ryan?
Yo, yo, what's going on with everybody?
Good to see you.
What's up, brother? What's going on?
Yo, yo, what's good? Psychosis, thank you for pinging me in the room, man. I definitely, I forgot it was Wednesday. Uh, but yeah, I mean, my plan is to continue to build my relationships, continue to learn from those that have already done it before me, and to start making product for Sync itself, and not just for me as an artist.
How for
Like
you,
when you
Ryan?
did the
How
go
was
ahead.
2021 for you?
Man, 2021 was the best year in my music career. Absolutely. I started in 2000, about 2015, 2014, and this is literally the first year that I've seen some amazing results. In terms
And
of
hey,
sync,
and you invented this thing. You invented the stick man. That was big.
I did invent a stick man. That is true. Tommy crazy. But yeah, man, it's been great, man. I've been able to open up for various people. I've been able to get some sync stuff going on, and actually have never heard of sync until this year. I've never heard of the word sync before. Didn't know what it was until earlier this year, and then once I found out and did my research, all the opportunities just came flooding in. Um, so yeah, I mean,
There you go.
actually,
Ryan's NFT. Your first NFT. You can PTR that. Says first NFT.
oh, there it is, my first NFT.
That's what's up. Yo, that sounds awesome, Ryan. Yeah, it's really really cool just to hear, you learn about sync, you get some stuff happening. I remember you playing the song, your single, in the listening sessions earlier in the year, and everybody getting behind that like right away. So it's really dope to see that just growing and growing. So so you say for 2022 your plan is just kind of to grow and expand that and focus on
Yeah,
sync as well as your artistry.
yep. I mean, and starting off with the Epic Music joint. Once y'all said that, the producers sent me records on Monday, this past Monday and yesterday, and I wrote 6 Epic records. And I'm leaving the studio, headed home now from recording those, so I'm about to send those to y'all tonight.
Oh, you're a workhorse. That's
Um,
what's up.
oh yeah, for sure. I was like, oh, this is a great opportunity, so I'm about to take it.
Loves that. Love that.
Salute to you, King. Keep grinding, bro. You got heaters, man. Salute to you.
I appreciate it, man. Likewise.
Ryan's one of the most talented guys around, man. I appreciate that dude.
Totally agree. Hey Keisha, welcome to the stage.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm actually coming on the stage on behalf of someone else that is currently working at the time. I have an associate that's currently scoring something for the own network, and I told him about this room. And although he was not able to join, he wanted me to share his Clubhouse information. And if anybody had any tracks or something that you guys wanted him to consider, as he is syncing for a current project, he will love to hear what you have. The person that I am speaking of, his name is Trey 3 Ace on Clubhouse. That's TRE 3ACE. So he's just asking if you guys could just follow him and send him a DM. He is literally tracks right now. So if you're really looking to get synced, he got an own show and he's looking for music.
Oh, cool. That's awesome to hear. I thank you for sharing his stuff. Let him know that we're here every week and we have our listening sessions on Saturday. So I still, extend the invitation for him to come, and I would love to chat with him. We have lots of supervisors coming here. I worked on an own show myself, so it'd be cool to chat it up with him. So tell him he has an open invitation to come through.
Definitely. And I'll make sure that he is here for the next one. So thank you. And I'm going to take myself back down to the audience.
Appreciate you, Keisha. Thank you. All right, bringing Jason up on stage. Did I pronounce your name right? Jacqueline.
Peace, peace and blessings. It's Jocelyn.
Jocelyn.
How are you doing this evening?
Good. How are you today?
I am outstanding. I am outstanding. Thank you guys so much for having me on the stage. Um, I was invited by Veronica Amarante, who is just a dope being in the music industry, and she's like, "Girl, if you don't get in this room." So I give thanks for letting me join. And I just found out about CTRL Camp. And so I'm a music manager for an Afrofusion artist named Barry. He's from Nigeria. And we have 2 EPs, and it's just a nice mashup of like party music mixed in with, revival, unification songs, and a couple of sexy songs and so forth. So it's a nice variety. But just wanted to meet everyone and make more connections. I did submit one of his tracks on CTRL Camp, so thank you so much for that opportunity. And I also messaged you, Eric. Just thank you for creating this for all of us. But we have not been synced yet. Definitely looking for those opportunities and to connect with everyone. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming through. And yeah, definitely come through again. Bring your artists with you, and as you come through more, we have our listening sessions. I'm glad that you. I appreciate that you submitted, and there'll be more opportunities to just kind of learn about sync, more opportunities to pitch for, and so this is definitely a community that we grow together. We share what we know, and we grow together. So thanks so much for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. So as we come into the remaining 40 minutes, let's look at where we are. All right. So one thing I did want to talk about, right? We've talked about accountability. So we're looking at like, what's this 2022 sync placement strategy? And I've been talking about, before focusing on 2022, let's look at 2021. Let's be honest with ourselves. We don't have to share it with anyone else. Accountability is an individual thing. And let's be accountable for what we said we were going to do in 2021. Let's look at maybe why things didn't happen or why things did happen. Maybe things are still in progress. There's still 2 months left, so we're still working on these goals. But having that honest accountability helps give us the right perspective for approaching in 2022. So I think one of the things I want to leave us thinking about is, in terms of sync, this is for your sync goal specifically, we're all like in one of 3 phases, right? We're in a learning phase where we're kind of learning, like Ryan said at the beginning of the 2021, he didn't know he hadn't heard the term sync. That wasn't even something that he was familiar with. And now he's been synced. And so we're in a learning phase where we're kind of understanding what sync licensing is, what's different about writing music for sync versus writing music for artists. Are all the music I write for myself as an artist, independent artist, are they all things that work well in sync? Do some things work better than others? All those are things that we've talked about throughout the year, but that's all part of the learning phase. So for you yourself, you might not be, and that's where you might be. You might be in this phase where, I just need to understand, and my goals, I know this is a thing I want to operate in, or at least I want to evaluate whether I can operate in it. But in order to evaluate it properly, I need more understanding. So we're either in that learning phase, or we're in this creation phase, making the music, or we're in a pitching phase, and we don't have to be in all 3 at the same time. So um, when you're in the learning phase, at some point you move into, okay, I'm making music. And so one question, if for those who are in the learning phase now, I think the question for us is, when do we move into the creation phase? When do we move from analysis and analyzing to actually creating the music? And for some of us, just one creative to another, knowing us knowing us, for some of us, we have to ask ourselves, are we still in the learning phase because there's more that we need to understand? or are we here because we're afraid to shift to the next phase? Like there are people who have the information, but is fear keeping us from that next phase of, oh, I actually need to reach out and find a producer, or I need to put my studio together, or I work on this song, but I have these song ideas, but I need to see them to completion. And so, again, we're talking about things that only we individually can ask and individually can answer. But it's I think it's important. So, learning phase or creation phase. If you're in the creation phase, maybe this year you were making lots of songs, you were making lots of catalog, you learn the rules and you're creating, and then that's going to continue. And you're trying different styles, you're trying different genres. Maybe you were like me, you started in R&B and hip hop, and then you heard that there are actually lots of sync opportunities in blues rock and other genres. That was my path 10 years ago. I was doing a lot of R&B, a lot of hip hop. There weren't as many opportunities then as there are now for those genres. And so I saw that there was a lot more opportunities in alt rock and blues rock, and I could do those things. And so I shifted and experimented and just kind of created. And one of the things that I like that Kathy Heller always said, who's a mentor of mine, mentor of many of ours, but she always said that creation should be fun, and it should be kind of like when we were kids, just kind of playing. When you're a kid and you're coming up with melodies or you're singing songs, you're never questioning what's coming out of your head or the ideas. You're never filtering it. You're not stopping to question it. Some part of creation should be that innocent and naive, and the editing shouldn't start till later. And so if you're stalled in the creation phase, then maybe 2022 for you is, you know what, I'm going to get more into just getting these ideas that are in my head out, and not stopping them before they come out, not filtering them too soon, not editing them too soon, and not rejecting them too soon. Because as creators, I think we do that a lot too. Have an idea and then throw it away before we even give it a chance to come to life. And so if you're in the learning phase, question is, when do I start taking what I've got and making it? If I'm in the creation phase, the question is, okay, when do I actually move from creating to pitching? And this is probably the thing where a number of us get stuck, because the question is, when are we ready? When are we ready to actually take the shot? When are we ready to actually let somebody hear what we've got and see if this can actually land? I love that we put out this brief and we've gotten so many like submissions for that. And so, or that we do these listening sessions bi-weekly and we get so many people who even send us like work tapes and say, well, this is a demo, but I just want to get some ears on it. That boldness of just saying, you know what, let me get some qualified ears, or let me just get some objective ears to just give me some thoughts in terms of how this works. I think that freedom comes easier to some people than others. And so if you've been creating for a while, but you haven't been pitching in 2021, you have to ask yourself, am I not pitching because I can objectively say that I'm not really ready? Or is fear keeping me from taking the shot? Again, this is something that, only you individually can try to assess. But I do know, as a creative, sometimes it's not that we're not ready to pitch, or we think we're not ready to pitch, or we think we're not good enough, but actually we're not prepared for the rejection that might come. And so the fear of rejection keeps us from putting something out there, as opposed to the objectively saying, oh, I need to get better. I need to get better. And so again, this is something that I want us to as you're approaching this planning, I want you to look at. For me, I think, as a creative or as anything, rejection has to be it has to be the thing that we all get really comfortable with. We all have to get comfortable with somebody looking at our baby and saying that baby's ugly, or just not, that's not going to work. And I know a number of people who are really, really dope creatives who will sit on what they've made and it'll stay on their hard drive and they'll never share it because not because it's not ready, but they don't want to hear that. They don't want to subject themselves emotionally to that type of judgment. And I think that's the hardest part about what we do because it takes so much emotion to make what we make. And then we have to turn around and subject it to someone else's opinion. But that's really the only way to get access access to the world. It has to be submitted to somebody who controls a playlist on Spotify, or it has to be submitted to somebody who runs a music library, or it has to be submitted to somebody who runs distribution. Somebody else's opinion has to come. And so it's not just music. I think anybody in any sales category, people who are formally trained in sales, I read a lot of books on just sales and marketing. People who are formally trained on sales, they learn to take a no. Like if they're selling vacuum cleaners, if they're going door to door, back when they went door to door to do vacuum cleaners, but if they're going door to door to sell vacuum cleaners, they expect, 99 people to tell them no, to slam a door in their face, to sick the dog on them, to curse at them and tell them to get off my lawn. They expect all of that to get to the one person that'll say, "Oh, come in, I want to see how that vacuum cleaner works." And the ones who are successful are not the ones who are just the best salesmen. They're the ones who subject themselves to all the no's. And so, objectively, we have to ask ourselves, have I been holding on to my music because I don't want to hear the word no? And I think when we can, address that, I think the yeses come on the other side of all those no's. Psychosis, I see you
Yeah,
flashing, and I saw Tim too. Go ahead, Psychosis.
yeah. I was gonna say, speaking on that fear thing, um, another thing, another aspect of that is sometimes we actually afraid of being successful, right? Sometimes we're afraid it will work. Not necessarily that it won't, but sometimes the fear of it working means you're also going to be thrust out of your comfort zone. So if you've been doing something so long and then you make something great and maybe, everybody's telling you it's good, but you're kind of scared to put it out there. Sometimes it's because it will change your life or it will change other people's life or change the way people look at you. But I think, one thing about all of this is keeping a perspective that we're artists, we're creatives. Some people just do this for just business reasons only. But for those of us that's doing it for the love of the music, that art doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the world. So we got to do our best to, protect it, take care of it, monetize it if we can. But that art belongs to the world. So don't be afraid don't be afraid of it working either, because it's supposed to sometimes.
Yeah, I love that, Psychosis. Thanks. You know, I think we also got to separate yourself from the art that you create and the no's that you're going to hear. Eric, you were setting it up that it's just part of the game, right? It's part of the business. It's part of what we're doing. And I know, personally, hearing no can feel, like you're getting stabbed, like it hurts. But you got to create something that you're proud of. You got to create what's you. Um, I would say don't fall into trying to be something that you're not. But if you're true to your art and you're putting it out there, you're going to get no's, and that's just part of it. And if you're comfortable with that, you're going to get to that, 100th or 500th person that says yes. But it is out there, and I would just encourage everyone to, keep at it. If you've got stuff that you're proud of, if you're doing work that you're proud of, put it out there. You never know where it's going to take you. And, if you are scared of the success, like Psychosis said, then, be open-minded about where it can take you and where that journey is going to go.
Well said, both of you.
What
Hey, go
what
ahead, Ryan.
what I will say? Oh yeah, absolutely. What I will say is that you know, when creating a piece of work, for whatever purpose, create it with the expectation that it's going to be successful, and with the other understanding that it may not be accepted, but also understanding that every no is not permanent. So I've learned that a no now is probably a yes later. And while, you know, because when I was playing So LA, my single record out now, earlier back in like March or whatever, people had various comments of, you know, it's not ready, blah blah blah, and various things like that. And then towards, you know, June or whatever, everybody's saying it's a smash hit. So times change, people change, what people are looking for change, and if they're not looking for what you've created at that moment, that's fine. Hold on to it, resubmit it later, adjust it, do whatever you got to do, and then you may get a yes the second, or third, or fourth time. So don't give up, because a no is never permanent.
That's some wisdom. You guys, there's a lot of wisdom on the stage. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think Ryan, you absolutely right, man. The things things develop over time. I didn't get the answer earlier, but you were asking how do we do this year? And one of the goals that I had this year wasn't sync related, was for me as an artist. And I reached that goal, which was one of my songs reached 1 million streams on Spotify. Think about that, was the song was almost 3 years old when it happened. The first year that it was out was no real traction on it, speaking exactly what Ryan was just talking about. And then because of sync, it spread very quickly through, Europe and other mediums. So timing is everything, but keep grinding and keep focusing. But also, be mindful of who you even taking the criticism from. Everybody has an opinion. I think what's really dope about Control Camp is the people here are going to give you constructive criticism on the technical level. um, I try my hardest not to sweat people's creative. If they're not a creative, then there's not a whole lot I'm gonna take into account with what they're saying about what I'm creating, because they're not a creative. But take into account technical things like the mix, the melody, maybe lyrics, maybe delivery approach. But as a creative, just create, and somebody will always like it. If it's done technically sonically sound and correct, it'll find its place. So don't hold on to it too long, and it may take time, but it'll definitely happen.
I saw you flash, Dana.
My bad. That was a mistake. But I'm with everything everybody said.
Awesome, awesome. You said get such great insight. I really, really appreciate all of y'all. So yeah, I think what I would like us and this again, this is something you can raise your hand or you can go to the back channel. I would love to hear from those in the audience and on stage too, but on the audience, what phase are you in? Do you consider yourself in right now? Learning phase, creation phase, or a pitching phase, and knowing that usually it rotates. Once you start pitching, you might have to go back, because if you're not getting results you might want, you may go back to the learning phase, or you're getting specific feedback, so you go back to the creation phase, or things really start working and landing, and then you need magnitude, you need to scale it up, so you're back in creation phase really, really heavy. But I want to hear from people, what phase are you in now, and then what do you see coming for 2023 from one phase to the next? I got a few hands raised, so give me a second to bring y'all up. And you can back channel me also. So you can come up on stage or you can back channel. Josh, I got you first. What's going on, Josh?
Hey guys, what's going on? I mean, geez, if it wasn't for Control Camp, even last year or this year during the pandemic, I definitely probably wouldn't be in the pitching phase. But I think that's the big thing for next year. So I'm going to take the next 2 months to acquire as much, um, not acquisition. I'm trying to say assets.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, try to compile as much music while everybody's doing the holiday rush, and then straight out the gate January, when everything when there becomes a lull, at least from what I understand, start pitching and develop. One of the goals is to develop a better CRM for making relationships. and things of that nature, making sure that I keep up to date with them. Because as a composer, like it's super easy to just stay in your shell and just make as much music as possible, and then just hope for the best. But obviously, that's not the best. That's not as conducive to do when you're trying to really make a living out of it. So that's definitely the goal for next year for me.
I love that, Josh. Yeah, and I love where you are in your process and just the way your career has been really moving this year. So it's really cool to see that. Thank you for sharing that, man. I just PTR, so I got Cedric. What's going on, Cedric?
Hey Eric, this is Cedric here with the gray hair in the second row, second profile. This is a great room. I followed the Clubhouse. I encourage everyone here to follow the Clubhouse, the Green Mansion Control Camp. I'm just like truly thankful just to stumble across this room and stumble across Eric and the other people that were talking. Such great experience and tips and just knowledge here in this room, and I'm truly thankful for that. I consider myself right now in the creation phase. I've been learning a lot, and my I wanted to drop music this year, but I only dropped one single, and it was not what I expected. But I caught myself because I joined Clubhouse this year, and it was just so much knowledge, and it was so great, and just connecting with other people, and so I decided to just continue to like learn, and so now I'm more in my creation phase, and just like brother said, Josh, like definitely that was like like I'm glad you spoke. There's like once again so much like wisdom, and it's great to have this space here to piggyback off of each other, because yeah, it is going to be dead around that time, and creating now or doing your work now, like um yeah, that is great. That is just great thinking, brother. So in general, I'm in the creation process, and I know once I continue, once I'm done creating this music, I am gonna learn more, but more specific to my project, because I've just been listening, nothing specific for me, just general. And so then my next step for 2022 is going to be learning and pitching. Okay, I'm gonna drop. I'm gonna drop. I'm gonna do more drops. My goal is 53 drops, and those are my pitches. And hopefully, throughout 2022 and up to 2023, we can successfully get some syncing. I'm also thinking about syncing myself, but like that's a whole different story. But you get the story. That's my time. Thank you for letting me share. I'm a recording artist, by the way. I don't check out my Instagram, Benton Studios, and just follow there. And you'll get to learn more about me. Thank you all again for this space. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Cedric. Appreciate you sharing. Yeah, and then thank you for sharing where you are in creation, and excited to see how that grows as you get your drops in and move into pitching. So appreciate you sharing that. All right, we got Q is up next. What's going on, Q?
What's up, Eric? What's up, everyone? Like everyone said before me, always grateful to have an opportunity to join the control camp room. I think I've been, I didn't know you had started around November. I think I first got into the room around December, so I'm assuming that was kind of toward the beginning of when the control camp clubhouse
Right.
room started. So, yeah, grateful to be a part of the this community for such a long time and meet so many great people and opportunities that you have brought to the table here. So grateful for that. In terms of where I'm at, um, I think it's possible, like everyone is saying, I feel like I'm kind of simultaneously in the creation and pitching phase. Also while still learning, because for me, I think I got into sync, at the beginning of 2020 of last year. So it's kind of like, I had heard of Sync, but I had the good fortune of, you mentioned taking Kathy Heller's course at the beginning of last year, which was a 6-month course. So I got in February and it ended in August. And kind of around that time, in the time I was in there, I got, a tremendous amount of knowledge and a basis for what sync licensing was. And then, so I was able to, continue to pitch some stuff during the course and course following, the end of the actual course. you still have that community there. So through some of those relationships, I was able to pitch some stuff, but and build a small catalog. But again, like I was he mentioned earlier, I had a goal of getting a placement, this year, which actually fell about a year on the year anniversary of that course ending. So another thing that happened to me this year is I'm in the midst of a project now where I'm doing a kind of like a library a buyout for a network. So at the same time that I'm creating for that, I'm also pitching some of the, I feel like still have a small catalog, but going doing this project, you have to create a massive amount of music in a short amount of time. What it has taught me is that I have the ability to, produce at this level. Of course, I have a small team that I'm working with of other artists and another producer, and or a couple of producers and artists that I'm working with that I kind of gel with during the songwriting camp last year. Um, but yeah, just being in that mode of just we're creating at a fast pace, a lot of music for this project, and I think my goal going into 22 is now that I see I do have the ability to put out this much music in this short amount of time, is going back in and creating a catalog or expanding my catalog for sync. So I'm not actually creating to brief. I have a catalog. I can have a better sense of what people are looking for now, and what type of music is trending or whatever the case may be. And I've been able to build a team and see who I can depend on to accomplish things quicker. So I'm going to be more so in the pitch mode. But I think before I even get to pitching, of course I'll still pitch whatever catalog that I have previously, whatever music I have in my catalog currently. But going into a creation mode where I'm really expanding the catalog and being ready for the opportunities that come my way in 2022.
Love that, Q. I love what you've been doing with your career this year, and just the way your mind is thinking about how to expand it. And I think it shows it's the whole thing of like in these phases how it's not sequential. It's not like you have to go from learning to creation to pitching and then you're done, but it's a constant loop. Even this year, as new opportunities come, I had to go back into creation phase or go back into learning. When I decided to focus on cinematic hip hop, that was not something I had created myself. It's not something that I had any placements in. I had to go back to the learning phase. I had to study the music, but I believed in the opportunities. And so it was like, okay, let's go back to the learning phase. Let's figure that out. And then from the learning phase, let's get into the creation. Let's try and make as many of these, cinematic tracks as we can. Let's pull a team together. Let's get it made. And for that, we haven't even really started the pitching phase. We're still we're about 3 or 4 months in and just wrapping up a really dope creation phase. And so it's always in iterations. And so I just like the way your mind is thinking about that. Q, really cool to hear.
Yeah, one other thing I want to leave with the room is, you said something there like, yeah, you're always in iterations of different phases. I think for me, and I think this will hold true for everyone, I think you're always in the learning phase, particularly for me. I think because I still feel like I'm so new to this. Give your space room to continue learning, because there'll be things like and you don't want to second guess. Like, I don't really second guess, but there's things that I'm finding out about some of the opportunities that not to look back or regret any of them, but because I only knew what I knew at the time. But things that you were taking advantage of initially, that you find out, oh, okay, there's another way of doing that, or there's probably a better way I could have done that. So you're always learning new ways to, I guess, approach opportunities, or what are the best opportunities for you to approach. And as you grow and expand your catalog, or you gain more knowledge, of course you're going to approach, you may not see some of the opportunities that you have now the same way later on. So I think, it's always good to stay in the learning phase while you're creating and pitching, regardless.
I agree with that context. I totally like the way you phrased that. Cool. All right, we have 10 more minutes, so let me get through those who are already up here and have their hands raised. I did get someone in the back channel. Jocelyn said that her right now. She's in learning and creation phase, and they're going to go into 2022 for placements. And then like we just said, rinsing and repeat was her word, which is continuing the learning, creation, and pitching. So she totally gets that. I have Jay Lee. Did I pronounce that right? Up next.
Yes, I call myself AKA Jay Lee. I'm a film producer, a film distributor. I'm currently helping artists get their music minted on the blockchain, creating NFTs for artists and different things like that. I'm new to your room, so I didn't know. I just came in because I saw music for TV, and I help artists get music and films. So hopefully through my little visit here, I'll see what sync placement is all about. So
Oh,
I
cool.
kind of just want to
Oh,
touch bases with you
well,
guys.
nice. Well, nice to meet you, aka Jay Lee. Yeah, we talk about music for films as well as part of Sync. So we talk about music on television, music for films, and music for games, and music for ads. And so yeah, we're here every Wednesday, and we actually have a room on Sundays where we talk with some film composers. Matt Head, who's an award-winning composer working on Queens and P Valley. We have a discussion with him on Sundays talking about the film scoring process and the TV scoring process. So you might find that interesting as well. But yeah, you can check out our profile and get more information about us there in the rooms we have. Would love to see you in our discussions. Thanks for coming through.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Jerome, got you up next.
Yes, yes. Good evening, everyone. I am first enjoying this discussion. Great information, and Control Camp is fantastic. I am currently in a creative phase, and I have been this way for, I would say, the past 12, 14 months. In addition to music composition, I'm also a painter, and so it's sometimes it's a little difficult to get out of the creative phase and move on to something else, particularly as it relates to sync licensing. Moving from the creative phase to the pitch phase, um, spending time building relationships and understanding the avenues that I need to be in. To actually start pitching music. Very fortunate to have recorded a project and released a project a couple of years ago, and that had some pretty moderate success out of Chicago. But I'm very new to sync licensing, and but I know that this is something I want to do. Particularly like in the area of scoring and in international music. And so, I figured let me focus first on creating content and then getting content presentable enough to go and pitch. And I feel like I'm kind of at a place where I have a pretty good amount of content, and I just need to start pitching and getting in the right environments to pitch my music.
I love it. I love how you're thinking that, and I agree. I think this is something almost every creative. I think because so many of us we actually enjoy the process of creation, and so
Absolutely.
even like as a painter, when one painting is done, you've probably got the idea for the next painting, and you might not be thinking, okay, what gallery do I put this in, or do I sign up for this art show, or that's putting on a different hat. So I can I think it's just a burden that we as creatives have of really not wanting to do business and not wanting to be salesmen, but just wanting to create and not you know seeing the other part as necessary.
Yeah, and it's very necessary. My day job, I'm like a technologist, business planner, and so I get to wear that hat for a good portion of the day, but I'm just not used to wearing that hat when I'm an artist. And it is an art because the business of music is in a lot of ways more important than the creation of music.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, they go hand in hand. You can't
Yeah,
make a thing without having people to give it to. So, thank you, Jerome. I really appreciate you sharing that. Really insightful.
yeah. Thank you.
All right, let me PTR. I think I have Gary up next.
Yeah, good evening. What's going on, Eric? It's been a while. Uh, the name is different. It was Garfield. Everybody used to remember me as Garfield. So I'm missing. I love the space, and I'm missing the Raj and Steph on the stage right now. But I know they're on different assignments. Quick question: are they coming back for the holidays?
They will be in and out. Like Daraj was here a couple weeks ago. Like they just kind of pop in, but they're just so swamped on their own projects. So, we don't know when, but you might see Daraj at the listening session on Saturday because it's kind of like his thing too. But yeah, they'll be around.
Yeah. Either way, I've been following the camp since the birth of it, right? Since last year, meeting a lot of great people. To answer the question, I'm in the creation stage. I did dial back a bit from Clubhouse for a little minute because things were starting to ramp up with the world opening back up and so forth since November. And being in control camp has been helpful with all the conversations that we've had many times, even to the after party, right? So it put me in a place of, okay, you want to do this, what do you have? And as we know, being in the sync world, you have to be like basically 10 steps ahead. My opinion, you got to have things organized, well organized, ready to prepare for the soups that you're going to approach, and the conversations that you're going to have. And I'm the type of person, I don't like just talking, just to talk. Setting up for a failure. That's what I think it is. I don't like just spitting game out there. I'm not a gamer. So I went to the drawing board. Basically, went back to the drawing board with all the notes I've captured from the information that has been given to us, and been able to lock in with some artists and create. And I'm looking forward to uh, December and also the top of the year to start releasing, and then stepping into actually approaching the sync table once again to find out what's available, who's looking, how to submit, who to submit to, with all the proper organizations that we are setting in place right now, and just continue to lead with that, basically. So I'm excited about this year. This year has been great in terms of a lot of learning experiences, a lot of testing and trials, obviously for a lot of people, but speaking for myself right now, and just figuring it out. So I'm looking for it. I've always wanted to do the what do you call it, the room with you guys on Saturday
The
to
listening
preview
session.
the music. Yeah. But I'm like, nah, I'm not ready yet. I haven't felt ready in a while, but now I'm there. So I'm about ready to jump in and start getting some critiques from you guys for the product that I actually have been creating.
I
And
wanted.
again,
I'm glad you said that because I guarantee you're not the only person in the room that's felt that way. Um, there are people who've been here all year and have not played in the listening session, and I want to encourage anyone who has not. Like the one thing about the listening session is most of the time it's not for a brief. It's just an opportunity to get people who actually place music or have had music placed to just put their ears on something you've made. And people bring demo tapes, demo songs, work product, things that are just like a vocal over a piano and it hasn't even been produced yet, or things that are unmixed. And so if you've been in a place where this goes back to what I was saying earlier in terms of, if you are you in the learning phase or the creation phase, and is the thing keeping you from going to the pitching phase not being ready, or not being ready for rejection? Those are two different things. And so I encourage everyone, if you're in that phase, in the fear of, because that's how I see it, it's for everyone, it's really the fear of being judged. And it's like, okay, well, you know what, before I let you judge me, let me make sure I really get this tweak right. Where if you don't see it as judgment, you could see it as, hey, maybe I could give you the gem that helps you get there 2 times faster. If I heard that, like, oh, that's dope. Why don't you try this loop here? But if you have to figure it all out by yourself first before you even let somebody else put their ears on it, that's saying, I'm there's a to me in my from as a creative and knowing myself and just knowing, many creatives and how we are, there's an aspect of a resistance to judgment in that, and it's sometimes about not being ready, but it's also sometimes about not wanting to be judged too soon or too harshly. And so,
And just to chime in, those Saturday rooms, I mean, they're a safe space. It's really constructive feedback. And then also, if you're like me, like you could mix forever and it still wouldn't be done. So it's good to get that feedback.
appreciate you, Tim. Yeah,
Oh, that's right.
thank you, Gary. I
There's
appreciate you sharing that. Though, it's really, I mean, it's one. I appreciate you just bringing that to the room. I appreciate you sharing it, and I guarantee you're not the only person that felt that way. So thank you for even bringing that up.
no, absolutely. Thank you again for the space and for having me up here. I'm gonna yield the mic, as they say.
Appreciate
Peace
you.
out.
All right, let's get to the last two so we can shift over to the after party. We got William Smith. What's going on, sir?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I get it all the time. Will Smith.
Will Smith. I would this
So
how you had it written.
yeah, it's how it's my name. It's how it's written. But and it doesn't help that I did research in hip hop. I have a PhD in ethnomusicology. So yeah, so hip hop and Will Smith. But yeah, I get it all the time. But the uh, the year for me, actually the phase that I'm in is in creation and pitching. And I love what Messier was saying about you're always in learning phase, and that's what I am. I actually teach as well, so that's as a teacher, you always recognize that you're always learning. So yeah, this is a wonder. It's always a wonderful season, but this is an awesome season. Getting to meet and talk to people in the sync community. I've been to several conferences. I've met a bunch of people, and I have some friends who are supervisors as well. But I've been blessed to have some awesome placements. I have NFL, Fox Sports placements, some Real Housewives placements from back in the day. So my music was actually in a catalog, a library, and got some awesome placements from that library. But the space that I'm in at this point is to try to build my own relationships with supervisors and come at it from a different angle. Um, I spent 2021 building my site, my website, to basically be a portal to allow supervisors and anybody else who wants to license directly. So not dealing with any middlemen. So it's that was 2021 for me. But yeah, it's I love everything that's been set up here. I don't want to take. I know you're trying to get to the after party, but I just wanted to come up and say that I love all the knowledge that's being spread here, and I sent some of my students. I'm going to try to get them to come through as well. I teach over at Bowie State University, so
Oh, that's
but
awesome.
yes.
Awesome. Yeah, I lived in the DMV for a good while, so I appreciate you and sharing that with your students, and that's amazing. And something you said, um, I, something you said just triggered me. Like, I also got started for probably the first, I don't know, 5, 6, or 7 years. All my placements were through libraries, and like a couple years ago, I realized that, you know what, I don't really have any of my own relationships. I'm always going through middle companies. I don't know music supervisors. I don't, and so I, before the pandemic happened, I made my goal for 20. I want to say maybe that was 2020, 2019. My time is a blur for me, but my goal for that year was to build friendships in the music industry and supervisors and composers, and to not just have to have the direct pitches. And now, I mean, it got accelerated because of the pandemic and because of Control Camp. But even before Control Camp started, I was building my own CRM. I was cold emailing and DMing supervisors, introducing myself to people. And now I have some music in libraries, but I haven't submitted to a library in quite a while. I'm pretty much submitting everything direct now and getting briefs direct. And I'm really grateful. Like, and I had to shift back into learning phase really, really hard because building business relationships is totally different from submitting to a library. It's a totally different technique, totally different skill set, and I had to learn it, from scratch. And so we talk about that quite a bit. So I'd be interested as we get into 2022, William, if you can, come back and keep sharing how that's growing, and we can all kind of share and learn together. I appreciate you saying that.
Most definitely, yeah. And I don't even know why I did that brain freeze, but I tell my students to do this all the time. Tell everybody what you're doing and give them the web address. My site, if you all wanted to check it out, and I could point you to the company that actually they offer a service for indie artists to basically create their own catalog. Um, and have it licensable direct. So but my site is greatmediamusic.com, greatmediamusic.com. And then also I run a podcast. I don't know if you've all ever heard of it, Making Money in the Music podcast. I have a co-host, Kenya McGuire Johnson, and we run that podcast. So check that out as well.
Very, very cool. Yeah, I've caught some of your episodes. Very awesome, man. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thanks, Eric.
All right, and last but not least, we have Ariane. Did I pronounce your name right?
Very close. It's Ariane.
Ariane, nice to meet you. How are you?
Nice to meet you as well. I'm good. I'm good.
Great. So, what you want
So,
to share?
yeah, I was just gonna say that this is my first time ever in the room, and it caught my attention. I don't know if you guys previously like went over this or anything, but I was just wondering if you guys had any suggestions for independent artists or producers when trying to find like placements, whether it's better to like just straight up mail directly to the office of like um, music executives, or if it's better to just go through like third party websites, DMing Instagram, or just by knowing someone. That was really what was on my mind. Just to get your opinion on which may be the best mode.
Good question. Yeah, we do talk about those things in here. So I'll say for now, like all of the above work. I won't say that there's one that's better. Usually, we'll recommend people depending on you as an independent artist. If you have like lots of different music in different spaces, then approaching a music library, which kind of houses a lot of songs. Some of them take music online. Some of them you have to kind of do some research and find out how to get to them. Every one of them is different. As an independent artist, there's other avenues. One of the ones we see a lot in here are working with a sync agent. That actually, sync agents tend to partner with artists who have catalog, and then the artist can focus on their artist, in their independent career, and the sync agent will focus on pitching their music. And again, they're all different. Some of them you can do submissions to the music online, and some you kind of have to know somebody in the company. You have to kind of do some research and hustle your way into them. And then what we all kind of work on in this room is when we share all that information, but also trying to build up our own relationships directly with music supervisors and film producers. That's the longer route, and sometimes those relationships take years to develop, and so then it's not like it that's a longer game to play. But we tend to kind of play both games at the same time. Work on the third party relationships so you can get something sooner, and then also start building up those relationships so that you won't necessarily have to have the third party, but then you could keep it, like especially if you're an independent artist, sometimes you really want somebody who's just going to be focused just on sync placement. So um yeah, stay here, stay with us. We talk about this every Wednesday. Today we were just kind of talking about sync strategy, but other days we'll talk about how to build business relationships, where to find music supervisors, where the music libraries. Another place, my TikTok, which is at Eric Makes Music, I have lots of content on there about, well, what music libraries do I recommend? What sync agencies should you check out? What websites should you go to? So I recommend anybody who's looking for that kind of information, check out my TikTok page. Again, it's at Eric Makes Music, just like my handle here on Clubhouse. So hopefully that's some good insight for you.
Yes, it was. Thank you.
Cool, thank you. All right, this has been an awesome discussion. I'm just like, I really appreciate how engaged everybody was. Like everybody brought their ideas, and I think everyone in the audience sending information to the back channel. Oh, I did miss one. Jen, aka Rose Gold, also said that just talking about we were talking about the pitch rejection and going from learning phase to creation phase to pitching phase. She made an interesting point that actually, pitching, that rejection from pitching brings a certain amount of fatigue. So going back to the creation phase for her helps refresh that. And so staying in that cycle helps her balance, from creating music, which is energizing, versus pitching music, which can be a little deflating. So it's cool to hear that. But I just want to thank everyone who's contributed or just stayed in the room the whole time and listened. And this is really, really cool. We are going to transition into the after party. You have to be a member of Control Camp to see that. And a couple things. When you're in there, you just have to raise your hand. Anybody can raise a hand, and we pull everybody up on stage. Anyone who wants to come up on stage. And we don't talk about sync placements there, and we don't promote our music or anything. It's really like hanging out in the hotel lobby after a conference. We're really just chatting it up, getting to know each other. It's really where the magic of our relationships happen and how we get really tight and come up with some cool opportunities later. So if you're not following Control Camp, click on the icon above my picture, follow the camp, and the room will show up, and we'll just chat another hour or so socially. And if you can't make that, we'll see you here Saturday at 4 p.m. for the epic cinematic listening session. That's going to be, whether you make cinematic hip hop or epic pop or not, it's going to be so insightful hearing people who work with all the major sports agencies talk about how they use the music and how they make that music sound so anthemic, having the actual composers and engineers in the room talk about this, and then listening to the music that's been submitted. So don't miss that. And then we'll be talking on Sunday with film composer Matthew Head, who works on P Valley and Queens and some really big shows. So he'll be talking about scoring on Sunday. And then next week for Sonic Branding. So we've got some amazing stuff lined up. Continue to happen with us. Psychosis, Tim, thank you so much. Dana, Q, Gary, people still on stage. Appreciate all of you.